morning, everyone. This is Bill Miles with the Hilton Head Island Bluffton Chamber of Commerce, and welcome to our Power Hour Teletown Hall again this Wednesday morning. Also want to give a shout out this morning to the Beaufort County channel, and thank you to those who are watching on the Beaufort County channel, as well as the town of Bluffton, town of Hilton Head Island, and Chamber social channels. So thanks to everyone for joining in. I think we've got a stellar lineup of speakers this morning, and lots of great information will be shared. Boy, the weekend was sure nice. This week's been beautiful, and spring has certainly arrived in the Low Country, and it's really great to see so many families enjoying their spring break right here on Hilton Head Island. You know, it's wonderful to think about last year at this time and where our restaurants were and where our retail stores were and what was going on with the pandemic. And it sure is wonderful to see our restaurants buzzing and our retail outlets thriving as we host hundreds of visitors, really thousands of visitors that are on their enjoying their spring break here this year. So we're delighted to have them. You know, we received many emails here at the Chamber, just like I'm sure each one of you received many emails. And ours are from visitors, and they often remark about how genuinely nice everyone in the Low Country is. And so just know that your Southern hospitality doesn't go unnoticed. And for that, I certainly want to say a big shout out and a big thank you to each one of you for being kind to not only each other, but also our visitors. You know, that very reason in itself is one of the many reasons that Hilton Head Island has been named America's #1 island by Travel and Leisure magazine readers. And we were named that not once, not twice, not 3 times, but 4 consecutive times, which is very special in itself. And so I want to remind everyone that if you, your friends, relatives, associates, anybody, that if you haven't had a chance to show your hometown pride and vote for your favorite island in their online World's Best Awards, I'd encourage you to do so. And Kelly has put the link in the chat box for us this morning. So please cast your vote for your favorite island. You know, we live in a world filled with media content. Travelers often turn to trusted sources like Travel and Leisure for their expert take on where to travel, what to experience, and where to dine. Joining us this morning, we're pleased to have with us the editor-in-chief of another very well-respected media outlet that people turn to for great advice and content, and that's Food and Wine Magazine. You know, our website here at the Chamber at hiltonheadisland.org received 2.5 million visits last year by people who are planning their vacation. And following their search on where to stay, where to dine is usually the second most searched category by online visitors to hiltonheadisland.org. Food has become an incredibly important part of travel experiences. And thanks to tourism, our area right here in Bluffton and on Hilton Head Island is home to hundreds of great restaurants that we enjoy year-round, thanks to our visitors being able to help us expand that culinary scene. Hunter Lewis is with us today, and Hunter is the editor-in-chief of Food and Wine Magazine and one of the most well-respected voices in the culinary world. Hunter's also been a part of a few other little media outlets you may have heard of called Southern Living and Cooking Light. A few months ago, Hunter made a trip to the island and to Bluffton to experience our Low Country cuisine. And he may have had an oyster or two while he was here, and I can guarantee you that he did do just that. It's too bad right now, though, he's missing our amazing soft shell crab season that's going on. So we were thankful and very pleased that he paid us a visit, and we're looking forward to seeing that upcoming coverage in Food and Wine. But today, before that publication comes out, we're pleased to have with him on our Power Hour this morning to give us his insights into all things culinary. Hunter, welcome to our call this morning, and thank you so much for joining us, and also thank you for taking time out of your busy work schedule to spend some time with us here in the Low Country a month or so ago.
Thank you for that warm welcome, and it's a pleasure to be with all of you. Hopefully you can hear me okay on this Zoom. Hopefully I've mastered it after doing it this at home. As Bill mentioned, I had an opportunity to come down to the Low Country during the Christmas break, and I did a road trip from Charleston all the way down to come and spent several days in Palmetto Bluff in Hilton Head Island. And I came away, this was my first trip to Hilton Head Island and to the region, to this specific part of the region. And I came away with a great amount of energy, a great amount of enthusiasm, and so excited to see everything that in the area. And you'll see some of that excitement in the upcoming issue of Food and Wine. Our next issue is our Escapes issue, and it comes out April. It's the May travel issue. And you'll see some of the highlights from that trip, and I'll spoil a few of them. And I also want to give a shout out to Charlie Clark for being a great partner with me on the itinerary. But I had an opportunity to take a boat ride on the May River and to look at the water and the way that Pat Conroy looked at the water, and to talk to experts about oysters and catch a few and eat a few shrimp. I got to eat at Farm in Bluffton and meet Andrew Carter and talk to the Rolfs about the new market that's opening up in Bluffton that I really think is a game changer, not just for the region and the fast growing town of Bluffton, but model of how to tap into the heritage and history of the to create something new and equitable. And I'm really about that market. I know you guys are too. And I'm hopeful that it's a model, not just for the South and for the Southeast, but for other tourist destinations as well, because I think the way that market can serve as a conduit for the area, for the farmers, for the artisans, for the makers, to create things that are delicious for people that are coming in and also for locals alike. I think it's a really promising next step for the area. And I also got a chance to hang out with Andrew Carmines and head over to Hudson's and sit on the deck and eat plenty of oysters and a lot of local fish. And first thing I asked Andrew is, why didn't he run for mayor? Because he seemed to be doing a really good job of business and talking to everybody. And he said he didn't want to divide his constituency there with his customers on both sides. But I think what Andrew is doing at Hudson's, I think it's one of the best seafood houses in all of the Atlantic coast. I grew up in North Carolina, and so I know the coast really well. And I think what they're doing at Hudson's with the local seafood, fishermen that are wholesale, even the prices there are incredible for the value of what you're getting. So I left with a great impression. I've had friends text me because they're taking their families down for spring break or they're planning summer vacation. I've been giving them some of the same recommendations that I wrote about in the upcoming issue. So, overall, I think what you guys are doing and the energy that you're creating, on top of the reputation that you've already built over many decades, is a really cool thing. And I think the Low Country, as you all know, is this very special place. The history is special, the cuisine is special, and the natural beauty is unparalleled. And I think that's something that has a very long tail to it and will continue to drive success. And I think what we're looking for and what our readers are looking for said, it's not just about where are you staying. It's what is that experience? What is that culinary experience that's going to make this vacation even more special? And how do we tell stories? At the end of the day, we're all storytellers. It starts with the chefs and the farmers and the restaurants. And then when it comes to our audience, I'm sure you're seeing this. There is a huge demand to get out and to travel domestically, to travel in the region. And we can tell from our reader survey, we can tell from economic activity, and we can tell from our planning that this is only going to build over the next several months into the rest of the year. And anecdotally from restaurateurs, from hoteliers, from caterers, that they can't keep up with the demand for hiring right now. which means that consumers are coming back. They're filling spaces. They are chomping at the bit to stop doing dishes and maybe stop cooking 7 days a week. And we're seeing a huge overall across the country. Now, that said, I think one of the interesting things about being in the Hilton Head Island area over right before New Year's is that, as we've seen with the past year and with the pandemic, everybody has weathered the same storm, but we from boats. And I think that what's happening in one city, what's happening in one state, one region has been different than other regions and it's very clear, given the outdoors and given the great weather that you have, that you've been conditioned for a faster bounce back. And I can't speak to your numbers, but the tourism that I saw over the holidays and during it's been driving for spring break, I think that you guys are uniquely positioned for quicker growth and for a faster bounce back. So that was my take from my time there. And as we think about how we're going to cover travel and chefs and restaurants the upcoming months, we just sent our restaurant editor on the road for the next month. She's out traveling in a big loop around the country to scout our best new chefs. And this is a good development for us because it means that the world's beginning to open back up again. And as our editors continue to get vaccinated, they're getting back out there. Our wine editor is heading out to Napa and Sonoma in a couple weeks. I've got a couple trips planned over the summer, and there's a real appetite among our editorial staff to get out there, to experience, to get inspiration about future coverage. And then in terms of domestic versus international, we are seeing, while people do want to travel abroad, we're still seeing some hesitancy. We're still seeing a wait and see. Of course, there are restrictions to traveling to some countries still right now. So we're seeing that appetite, and we're seeing those dollars being directed to local and to regional travel by car, and now more than in the past 12 months by plane. So I think the future looks very bright. For us is picking up, and thankfully we've remained steady in our circulation and engagement with the magazine. And travel is a big part of what we do. So I want to thank you guys for your time and leave some time for questions as well.
Hunter, thank you for that update. And it's very encouraging to hear you talking about your team getting out traveling again and knowing that you're traveling because that's so important to all of us. Our first question is coming to us this morning from Karen. And Karen is asking, what are the biggest trends you're seeing in culinary travel?
The biggest trend that I'm seeing in culinary travel is going beyond a dinner reservation, going beyond just having a meal out. Everybody's looking for an experience, looking for to capture and to share, whether that's on social media or back home. And when we think about the food and wine reader, especially, they are the real influencers. And I don't mean in terms of the people on blogs and on social media. I mean the people, our million plus readership, are going back and telling their friends and family where they went, what they ate, who they met, and having experiences like I did, where I got to get in a boat and float the May River and really the area from that perspective, and then go and eat those shrimp and go and eat those oysters that we saw in the water. Experiences that our readers looking for, and those are the kind of trends that are really travel for our kind of audience. And I think it's the same of what BJ Dennis is going to be doing at the market in Bluffton. I think that adds a different layer of experience and a different layer of culture, and a, you know, the cuisine of the Low Country is built on the history of the Gullah Geechee people. And I think that kind of storytelling and making sure it's historically accurate, and that it's real and that it's authentic is hugely, hugely important. And that brings even more authenticity to the culture there, to the area there, and it gives people a reason to come back to.
Thank you for that. Next question is coming to us from Jennifer. And Jennifer is asking, what is it about the Low Country you think resonates most with foodies who travel?
Well, I think it's the whole package, really. I think it's the cuisine itself, which is very unique, and it's built on the contributions of African American cooks over the past 400 years. You know, blended with tradition and other European traditions. I think it's the ingredients that help create the cuisine and the unparalleled seafood and produce. I think it's the architecture and these beautiful buildings. It's the art, you know, but I think all of that married with the scenic beauty of the area. You know, it's unlike anywhere else. And what I was so taken with when I was there during the winter was how gold everything was and how the light felt. It was like nowhere else on earth. And I think all of that creates this whole package that is unparalleled.
Thank you for that. Our next question is from Ryan, and Ryan's asking, how big of a role is local and sustainable cuisine playing in dining decisions these days?
It's everything. I think it's everything. If you look at, you know, if you get outside of the chain restaurants and you look at independent restaurants, whether they're smaller mom and pops or they're smaller independent chains, which are majority of the restaurants in the country, local is increasingly more important. It goes back to what I was saying about the storytelling. Sure, you can order everything off the back of a Cisco truck and create some decent food. Local, especially in the Low Country, you know, you've got one of the most important regional cuisines in America already. And why would you not want to tap into that local heritage and that local storytelling to teach people about what's on the plate? I think local is everything when it comes to food. And I think that now more than ever, as we think about community, as we all hopefully embrace the people in our community and the makers and the growers and the farmers and the cooks, and folks that have had a really, really hard time during the pandemic, I would hope that local matters even more.
Hunter, two more questions before we let you go. Next one is coming from Scott, and I'm sure you're going to like this question. Scott is asking, how do I subscribe to Food and Wine?
You can go on our website, on our homepage, and there is a button that makes it very, very easy to put your credit card into.
Great. Thank you for that. And the next question is coming from John, and John is asking, what impressed you the most on your recent trip to Bluffton and Hilton Head Island?
I think it was a combination of a few things. I touched on a few of them, but I Andrew Carter's doing in Bluffton and what he's going to be doing in Savannah if that restaurant hasn't already opened was very, very delicious and very cool. And he's an ambassador for the area. Although I didn't get to walk the market because it was still under construction, I think that this is a game-changing hire because of his national recognition. Again, I think that what Andrew Carmines is doing at Hudson's it needs to be celebrated even more. And I thought the pastry that Philippe was making there in Hilton Head, including the croissants, was world class. You know, to have a pastry of that caliber in the South, right there on the water.
Hunter, thank you. Incredibly informative this morning. And we appreciate you. We appreciate your publication and your leadership there. So we look forward to reading the next edition that comes out. And thank you for joining us again this morning.
Thanks, Bill. Very much appreciate it.
Have a great rest of your day.
You too.
That was Hunter Lewis, the editor-in-chief of Food and Wine magazine. We're going to draw things a little bit closer to home, sticking with the thought of travel, and knowing that there have been some exciting announcements in the past few weeks on new air service for our Hilton Head Island Airport. United Airlines recently announced the new nonstop seasonal service to 6 cities, and the airport's expansion project will improve the travel experience for residents traveling outbound as well as our island guests. So we're glad to partner with our airports when it comes to air service development. And here to tell us about the latest is on Hilton Head Island is the airport director, John Rimbold. John, good morning, and thank you for dialing in.
Hey, good morning, Bill. Thanks for having me again on this incredibly important and useful Power Hour. I think this is a great feature that the Chamber puts out. Is a great way for folks to connect. And frankly, after the year we've been through, this is a great way to get a little ray of sunshine at least once a week. Although around here, we get it more than the average folks, so that's a good thing. I want to run you just through some interesting information and take you back a year and a day ago. A year and a day ago, April 6th of 2020, nationwide, TSA had just over 97,000 people go through checkpoints. Now the norm for this time of year is between 2 million and 2.5 million people going through the checkpoint. It was incredible as we watched the daily numbers come back from TSA to see that nationwide air travel dipped below 100,000. Nobody could even conceive of that. We had the lowest numbers, I'd say since I think it was the 50s or 60s when they started tracking those numbers. So it's just incredible to see that. And now to see where we are since then is a huge, breath of fresh air and an array of hope and sunshine. And so I can tell you with a lot of joy that since March 11th, every day since March 11th of this year, the numbers through the checkpoint have been over 1 million. So that's great. Just the other day, 2 days ago, there was 1.5 million that came through the checkpoint nationwide. So still down from 2 years ago, but way up from last year. So things are looking good. The vaccines are certainly giving people a little bit of safety and confidence in travel. And of course, all the airports and airlines have done their best throughout to keep confidence high for travelers so they can take advantage of at least the domestic travel at this point. And to Hunter's point there with the huge demand of domestic travel and that continuing through this year, we definitely saw it last year as well. We've got a great opportunity to give people direct access, right to Hilton Head Island. So for all those folks who are planning their trips, we're going to see a lot of those coming straight into our airport and getting to your restaurants, to your businesses, to your resorts as quickly as possible. And that's really what we aim to deliver at the airport. So we're excited. Our numbers have really been steadily increasing since February. Not quite up to summer numbers yet, but they are definitely, the weekend numbers are definitely at summer level. So it's incredible to see already. And it's always very interesting in our terminal to manage those numbers. Bill did mention that we've had some great news at the airport. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a rundown of just the current nonstops that we serve. And I'd sent a slide to Kelly. So Kelly, I'll let you, if you can, put that slide up. But currently, the Hilton Head Island Airport has direct nonstop service to Charlotte, Atlanta, Dallas-Fort Worth, Chicago O'Hare, Philadelphia, LaGuardia, Washington National, and Boston. On May the 6th, when United comes back in for their seasonal service, they will bring a second airline who serves Chicago O'Hare. Then they'll also add Newark Liberty up in the New York City area, New Jersey area. And then they also add Washington Dulles. So we'll have 2 airlines serving the Washington, D.C. area. And then on Memorial Day, Bill talked about these additions by United. starting Memorial Day weekend or a couple of days before the weekend, United will add nonstop service. For all you Ohio people out there, get ready for this. They're going to add Cleveland, Columbus, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, St. Louis, and Indianapolis. So here's our route map that you can see now. Thanks, Kelly, for putting that up. I sent it to her a little bit late, so hats off to Kelly and the team of the Chamber. These guys can juggle anything you send to them, so thank you for that. I want to give you a little bit of context about this route map. 25 months ago, we had a single airline flying 3 times a day to Charlotte. And this is what we've got now. So it's just been an incredible exponential amount of growth that we've seen at the airport. And it's important to note that it's not because of what we did at the airport other than extending the runway. So we put the welcome mat out there. The airlines were obviously very excited about it, and in they came, but they're coming for a reason. And the reason is that the market is fantastic. The destination is globally known. It's the #1 island over and over and over. So, you know, we're very fortunate and very lucky in this area to have the gem that we do of Hilton Head Island. So, you know, share that and let's do our best to kind of lift other people up, because not everybody's got the advantages that we have. So we're very thankful for this. We're extremely thankful for the confidence of the airlines and them providing the nonstop service directly to the island, because that's huge. And it just helps more and more people come in and maybe spend that extra day on the island. If they can fly directly, you know, onto the island, then they'll spend that extra night in your hotel, your resort, your short-term rental, and they'll have that extra meal or two at your restaurant. So that's all economic development. And as the mayor said at our recent press conference, our season is, your season, Hilton Head Island season, is continuing to spread farther and farther. The shoulder season is becoming smaller and smaller because, frankly, as the mayor said, whenever the sun shines, we're in season. So it's a great place to be. People are definitely trying to get here as quickly as they can. And so we're ready to receive them. And along those lines, I mentioned that sometimes we're a little bit logistically challenged at the airport because we're still working in a relatively small building. We are working on the terminal project, so we're about 75% through that design. So we're super excited about that. We definitely can't build it fast enough. I know everybody's thinking that, but it does take a little bit of time. But just know that relief is on the way. So that's coming. And in the meantime, then we're just going to rely on everybody's great Southern hospitality to make sure that as we're, you know, shoulder to shoulder and bumping into each other in the terminal as we either arrive to the island or finish up our vacation and head back home, that everybody still smiles. And even with the mask on, you can see people's eyes smiling. So that's what I tell people. Just continue to smile. People appreciate that. So Southern hospitality will definitely be in order at the airport, and we're here to support that. And again, I just thank the Chamber for being, you know, such a gracious host to everybody who comes into the island and providing this opportunity. And with that, Bill, I'll turn it back to you.
All right, John, thank you for that insight. A few questions for you this morning. First one is about food. Imagine that. And Kathy is asking if there will be any food service in the new terminal.
Yeah, that's a great question. And we are planning to have some food service in the new terminal. We're working with a concessionaire right now to actually bring some food service in very soon, because we know these summer numbers are going to be big. And so we'll have something on board this summer, I hope, to be able to help folks out right away. And then as the new terminal gets constructed, then we'll have some opportunities there. And again, we're a little bit different airport than a big hub or something like that, where you'd have a full-fledged restaurant. So ours will be kind of smaller scale, but there will be some opportunities, yes. So when you come in for that early morning flight, you'll be able to get your cup of coffee and your muffin and hang out for a while before your flight. And then if you're in the afternoon or the evening, that kind of thing, we hope to have, you know, maybe some adult beverages to help you relax before or after your flight as well.
All right, John, thank you for that. The next one is coming from Jim. And Jim is asking, do you feel the expanded routes will bring lower fares with more competition?
Yeah, great question, Jim. I think, you know, I always tell people that at the airport, we have almost nothing to do with the fares that are charged by the airlines. Now I say almost nothing because it's not completely nothing. We do provide, as I said, we try to set the table, roll out the carpet to bring those airlines in. And we've seen, I've heard anecdotally that folks, as they shop around the different regional airports, that they've seen many times Hilton has very competitive and even lower in fares than some of the other surrounding airports. So it's an up and down kind of thing. And I would say if, depending on how you shop for your fares, just pay attention to when you're doing that and see what happens. But it's definitely, I think, with more and more flights, more and more destinations, that we'll see the fares come down. And I think right now, anyway, the airlines are trying to keep the fares pretty reasonable just to encourage people to fly. So hopefully that'll stick around for a while.
Thank you, John. Next question is coming from Jason. And Jason is asking, what have you seen in trends on the private aviation side?
Thanks for that, Jason. Yeah, some people tend to forget about the private aviation side a little bit, but that is a robust part of the economy at the airport and definitely contributes to the local economy. We saw last year at this time, just like commercial air service, the private side really took a rough month in April. But our partner, Signature Flight Support, over on the private side, right away in May, saw every month basically they had a record in last year. So they were better in 2020 than they were in 2019. And I think there were a couple reasons for that. I think part of that was that international travel was cut down, and so people were traveling domestically. And also, folks who maybe didn't feel comfortable flying commercially at the time and had the means to fly on a charter, via private aviation, were doing that. So that trend has continued. And I tell you, when I sit there and look out my window, I'm right on the taxiway. It is just, it's jet after jet coming in. And that means that those are folks who are, coming to your establishments and patronizing your businesses. So we're very fortunate to have a very, very robust private aviation side.
John, thank you. And our last question is coming from Brent. And Brent is asking, what's the biggest challenge with the expansion?
Ooh, that's a good one, Brent, because there's a lot to choose from there. I'm going to say that the biggest challenge probably with the expansion is just managing the growth. And it happens very quickly. The growth itself happens. And the unfortunate piece of that is that the projects lag behind that, because in most industries, the build it and they will come philosophy is not very well accepted by the general public. Whether or not it works, it's usually something that is pretty hard to sell. And so you have to demonstrate that you've already got a problem before you get to solve it. So we're kind of in that situation. We're tight on parking, we're tight on space inside the terminal, but we are addressing that, and it takes time. So I would say that the toughest frustration is probably my personal impatience. I want all of that to be solved very quickly so we can serve our customers as best as we can.
John, thank you for that. Maybe in the upcoming months, you can come back on with us and show maybe some renderings of the new terminal and when you get to that point. But thank you for the information. I had several notes here from people just saying congrats on the new air service. And we appreciate you being with us today, John.
Thanks again, Bill.
All right. That was John Rimbold talking all things airport at Hilton Head Island. Our next speaker, we're going to transition now to Dr. Jane Kelly. And with the growing number of South Carolinians now eligible to receive the vaccine as of March 31st, Dr. Kelly's here to give us the latest information and how South Carolina is faring with the pandemic. So Dr. Kelly, welcome.
Great. Thank you so much for inviting me. Here's how South Carolina has been doing. Here's the 7-day moving average of new COVID-19 cases by public health region. And you can see, continued downward slope since that surge in January, though it's starting to plateau. And we are still a little nervous that, after Easter, Passover, family time weekend, and upcoming or current spring break vacations, we're a little nervous that this is going to increase, We are not anticipating that it's going to surge like it is in Michigan right now, but we're still a little nervous about this. And we're still encouraging people to maintain those mitigation measures that everybody's sick of about wearing a mask and keeping distances. And apropos to that, I want to bring up a very recent report around community transmission linked to a local bar opening. Because I think people don't realize, often they feel like, I'm young and strong and healthy, yeah, I'm not vaccinated, but if I get exposed, I'm not going to get very sick. But they're not thinking about further ongoing transmission. So just quickly, this is another one of those morbidity and mortality weekly reports out of CDC. So there was an indoor bar opening event in February in a rural Illinois county. About 100 people attended. I don't know how many of them were vaccinated, but they were largely young people. And that was at a time when you couldn't be vaccinated. Vaccination was not open to everyone in Illinois. It was only open to certain subcategories. There were 46 COVID-19 cases linked to the event. 26 of those were people who attended the event, who were patrons, and 3 staff. But the key thing here is the secondary cases. Now, I know these are like 17 cases. That's not huge when we're talking about, hundreds of thousands of people, millions of people. What's 17 cases? Well, think about the ramifications of those 17 cases. Those 17 secondary cases were people who were household contacts and family members, including a family member who was in a long-term care facility, a nursing home, and school contacts. What resulted from those secondary cases was a hospitalization and one school that closed because of the need for quarantine, and that affected over 600 students. So here's just sort of a graphic figure trying to depict it's not just what happens to you at a single event, it's that people unwittingly, unknowingly come home, spread it to family members, and those family members spread it further to people in schools, to people in nursing homes who are more vulnerable. So it's, again, just sort of that warning of we're not out of the woods just yet. So how will we ever return to normal? And the answer to that is vaccine, because we've talked about this before. Fully vaccinated people can get together with other fully vaccinated people. Ideally in private settings, we're not talking public settings, in private settings without a mask and distancing, and they can get together with unvaccinated, low-risk people. And just a segue from the travel discussion, if you're fully vaccinated, it's a lot easier to travel. There are no recommendations around testing. You don't have to get tested before traveling. And this is for domestic travel and for some international travel. There are some countries that are still requiring that you get tested even if you're vaccinated. But by and large, if you're fully vaccinated, you can travel. You don't need to quarantine when you get to your location, and you don't need testing. Now, a little bit I'm preaching to the choir in this group. I suspect a lot of you are sensitized to the importance of getting vaccinated, and many of you are probably vaccinated. But I want to shift now to talk about the current phase that we're in, which is phase 2. Eligibility is wide open. Age 16 and up, you don't need to have a medical condition or a job that places you at increased risk. 16 and up, you can be vaccinated. This slide is of a national poll done out of NORC, which is a think tank in Chicago. And I've got 2 blue arrows pointing to the age 18 to 29 and 30 to 44. And if you look all the way over on the right on those bars, the red is people who said if a vaccine was presented to them, they would definitely not get it. And then the dark blue was probably not get it. That is high in those 2 age groups. There's a bunch of other information on this slide about other groups and what they have said about whether they would get vaccine or not. But for today, I'm just going to focus on younger adults. DHEC also sent out an 8-question online survey, and there are a lot of limitations to this. It was online, so that's not going to get to everybody. It was not random. It was a convenience sample sending out this survey. Nevertheless, it's got some interesting bits, and it asked just 3 basic questions besides just demographics, how old are you, etc. And the 3 questions were, once I'm eligible to receive a COVID-19 vaccine, I plan to be vaccinated. over 80% of people said yes. Now, this survey was done back in January, early February. I suspect even more people may be interested in being vaccinated, but that's what we had at this time. 10% of people said no, and 9% said, no, I'm not so sure. No, I don't know yet. Next question. I'm confident that the COVID-19 vaccine is safe. Well, there were, now the green bar is strongly agree. 30% strongly agreed, 40% agreed. So most people felt it was safe. A few people were still not quite sure, or they disagreed. They thought it was not safe. And the last one is, I don't need to get vaccinated because COVID-19 is not a danger to me. Well, 70% of people strongly disagreed with that. Another 18% disagreed. So lots of people thought, COVID-19 is a danger. I need to get vaccinated. But let's break it down a little bit. And there are lots of different ways in which this was broken down. Again, I'm going to mostly focus on age. Those who were under 18, it's just a small number of people who completed this survey. But if you focus again on that 18 to 30 age group, only 63% of them said that they plan to get vaccinated. A lot of them were saying no or I don't know. If you break it down by region in South Carolina, the upstate had far more people who were saying, no, I don't plan to get vaccinated than in the low country. And again, this is just a convenience sample, but it helps us think about, where we need to go to promote vaccine. And this question, I am confident the COVID-19 vaccine is safe. Far and away, most of the age 65 and above said that they were confident that it was safe. That's the dark green and the lighter green bar. But again, if you look at those younger age groups, there's more suspicion. There's more people who are saying they either strongly disagree or they disagree. They do not feel confident the vaccine is safe. This really reflects the same thing as the last one with regards to region, the upstate, a lot more suspicion about whether vaccine is safe. I'd remind you that over 100 million people in the United States have been vaccinated. There have been more than 2 million doses of vaccine given in South Carolina. So I'm not sure what they're still worried about, but we need to pay attention to this. And in the younger age groups, I don't need to get vaccinated because COVID-19 is not a danger to me. It's a small number, but it's significant that younger adults who are answering that they agree or strongly agree that they don't need to get vaccinated because they're not worried about COVID-19. That's not so much true about older adults. They recognize the increased possibility of severe disease, but young adults still think it's not important to get vaccinated. There are a lot of limitations to this survey, like it's spot checking, and it was done back in January. We are doing this survey again, and I'm providing the link here. And I'm asking you, it would help us to understand more about what do people understand about vaccine? What makes them hesitant about receiving vaccine? You can forward this link to friends, family, church groups, other contacts, community. It's just 8 questions. It takes a minute to do this survey, and it gives us important information. Survey ends this Friday. We talked about vaccine hesitancy previously, but I just want to reemphasize a couple of things. That point about people are saying, well, I heard the vaccines don't work against the variants, so why bother? They do work against the variants. So we have had a few cases of breakthrough infection. What do I mean by breakthrough infection? People who have been fully vaccinated, 2 weeks after their last dose, how many of them have gone on and been infected? We have over 800,000 people in South Carolina who are fully vaccinated, meaning 2 weeks after their second dose. We have had, as of Monday, 141 vaccine breakthrough cases. Most of them were in nursing home patients, people who are elderly, a lot of medical problems. That's still less than 1% of people who've completed vaccine in South Carolina. So yes, the vaccines do work for the variants. Yes, we've had a few breakthrough cases. Inevitably, you're always going to have a few breakthrough cases. They do work for the variants. And what about preventing infections, like preventing an asymptomatic infection? This study done by CDC showed that those who were fully vaccinated We're 90% less likely to get even mild illness. So vaccines do still work. I want to mention 3 things. And again, I think this is a repeat, but just to emphasize, you can go to the Vax Locator to make an appointment. But I know people have been frustrated by this website, and we continue to try and make improvements. But I want to point out to you 2 other ways you can get an appointment for vaccine. You can go to this website, cvas.dhec.sc.gov, and I've just taken a screenshot of what it looks like. You check that box where it says, I certify that I've read the privacy policy, and there is a drop-down box of all these different health departments and other special events where vaccine is available. So you can tell at first glance that there it is, Beaufort Health Department has vaccine first dose appointments available. You click on that available link, you put in your information, it'll bring you to the date and time. So it is a more user-friendly. It doesn't have every place in the state that has vaccine. It has the health department locations, but it is more user-friendly. And I would suggest people try this first and see if they can get an appointment that's convenient to them. I'm going to show you one other way, and I apologize if this is tricky. We're working to make this better. DHEC has sent out the Janssen vaccine to independent pharmacies around the state. Now, the tricky thing about sending it to all these mom and pop pharmacies is they don't necessarily connect with our websites with that Vax Locator and CVAS to make appointments obvious. They ask for you to go specifically to their individual websites to make an appointment for your vaccine. How do you even know which facilities they are? Go to this vaccine allocations website on our DHEC webpage, and you scroll down the page and you'll see there's a line where it says Janssen vaccine allocation. You click on that, it'll tell you every place that has Janssen vaccine, how many doses they got, how many they've administered, and whether they have it available. So for example, if I were in Beaufort and I looked at Beaufort Pharmacy and I said, oh, they've already used all of their vaccines, so I don't think I'm going to go there. But maybe I'll call Beaufort Pharmacy and Compounding. Or if you're in a different part of the state, some of these have really lots of vaccine. Access Healthcare, they've got lots of vaccine. I know this is cumbersome, but I want people to be aware of that in case they are still having trouble getting vaccination. Unfortunately, I've got another 10 o'clock hard stop. I need to be on a different call. I know there may be questions. I would ask, please either email me these questions, or there's my email address, or if you send them to Kelly or to Bill, they can forward those emails to me. Again, I apologize that I have to go quickly and get off this call, but I hope this information has been helpful to you. Look forward to talking to you again.
Dr. Kelly, thank you for squeezing us in today. Great information. We'll get your survey out, or DHEC survey out to our members as well, and we'll let you transition on to your next call. Thank you so much.
Terrific. Thank you.
All right. That was Dr. Jane Kelly, and it's always a great bit of information she's always able to share with us when she's on. We're going to shift now to talking about schools, and we often hear stories in the news about how school districts around the country and where students are not back in the classroom. And thankfully, that's not the case for Beaufort County School District. Dr. Frank Rodriguez and his team and his teachers have done an incredible job in nothing short of a very, very challenging year. And Dr. Rodriguez, we're thankful for your leadership, and we're glad you're here today with us this morning to give us the latest update on our students, our teachers, and staff. And welcome back to the call, Dr. Rodriguez.
Thank you, Bill. Appreciate it. And thank you, everyone, for having me here today. I'm delighted to speak with you. As you know, and as Bill mentioned, we've had the majority of our students back in school buildings full time for a few months now. And I have to tell you that it feels so good to have, and great to have them back in our buildings. And being able to engage with them, not only in the academic setting, making sure that they're getting the best instruction on a face-to-face. We really believe that is the best for them. And we've also had, just yesterday, I was at May River High School, where we had an award ceremony for students, presidential awards, and over 100 students were recognized. But in order to do that safely, we did it out on the football field. parents socially distanced in the stands, and students were able to come and down to the field and get recognized in a safe manner. So we're trying to get those types of things in place to be able to celebrate really the great work of our kids. I'm so grateful for our guidance counselors, for our teachers, for our administrators, for the work that they're doing on a daily basis. Graduation's around the corner. Many districts are providing 4 tickets. We feel that we can do 6 tickets per student and still provide the safety measures for graduation ceremonies face-to-face on the football fields this year. So that's the direction we're headed. And, you know, although things are slowly getting back to normal with safety precautions in place, there are things that inevitably pandemic has left its mark, and there's certainly academic learning loss, and that's something we're going to be dealing with for some time in order to recover that. And one of the things we've already put in place is what we're calling Beaufort County School District 2.0 Learning Extension Program. And so we currently have, it's an after-school program that provides students with 2 hours of daily instruction in small groups. We do it 3 to 4 days a week after school in math and language arts and reading as the main focus. The program was launched back in March, and all district elementary and middle schools and K-8 schools have students participating. Currently, we have 1,500 students that are engaged in the program. Transportation is provided for them. The program is free to all participants, and we're funding it through some of the CARES Act dollars that we received to help recover learning loss. I personally have been to it. I've witnessed it, our 2.0 program in action in schools, and I'm very impressed with the focus that I see taking place. The instruction is strategic, it's tailored to the identified needs of our students. And after talking with principals and literacy coaches at our schools, it's clear that their work during that allocated 2.0 time is very data-driven, so that they can focus on the right components that students need. And they're taking advantage of the educational best practices through that small group instruction. I appreciate their commitment of our teachers to this, making sure that students get what they need. They're really, really doing an outstanding job. Speaking about our teachers, over the last month, we've partnered with Beaufort Memorial Hospital and with Hilton Head Hospital as well. Both Russell Baxley and Jeremy Clark have been outstanding partners for us. We had a clinic that we hosted at Battery Creek High School for district employees with Beaufort Memorial Hospital that I believe they administered over 600 vaccines to our employees on that first event. And then we had a second one at the Early Childhood Center where they administered another 100, 150. And I know that Hilton Head Hospital has administered over 200, 250 through those same timelines in those clinics. But in addition, they've made themselves available to district employees as well in getting vaccinated. So we know there's many more employees that have been vaccinated, but some took advantage of our clinics, and others did it on their own. So that's good news. Most of the employees have already had their second shot. So that's another good piece. And I'm grateful for the relationship and the partnerships that we have with our medical partners here in Beaufort County. On a different note, you may have recently noticed some empty cereal shelves at grocery stores in Bluffton. Well, this is because Red Cedar Elementary School now holds the Guinness Book of World Record for cereal box domino drop, bringing in over 6,000 cereal boxes and setting them all up in a domino fashion that they managed to break the world record. They knocked over 3,700 boxes over, surpassing the old record by a couple hundred. You may have even seen this on the news. I want to share with you, it was picked up by over 30 news stations across the country, North Dakota, Idaho, several counties and communities in Texas picked up the story, and over 6,000 cereal boxes that were full are going to be donated to Bluffton Self-Help. So I want to thank Kim Hall, Director of Bluffton Self-Help, for her partnership. And so we look forward to continuing to work with them. And so on behalf of Red Cedar Foxes, go Red Cedar. And as always, I want to thank you for the opportunity to provide an update today. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Dr. Rodriguez, thank you for that update. And our first question is coming from Kay. And Kay is asking, will there be summer learning options for students who have fallen behind this past year?
Yes, we're in the process of putting that information together to push out to families. We will be having summer school and summer programming dedicated to credit recovery or learning loss recovery as well.
All right, thank you for that. The next question is coming from Roger. And Roger's asking, what are the changes that have been made in transportation?
I'm assuming he means as a result of the pandemic. One of the things that we did was we limited seating capacity on the buses in terms of transportation, so that we had to increase number of routes in order to make that work, but we managed to be able to do that. So essentially, the transportation shifts that we have in place required additional routes by limiting seating capacity. We required masks on the buses, and we require them in our buildings as well.
All right, thank you. We have one more question for you, and Jeff is asking, what does the spring sports schedule look like in terms of number of fans that are allowed to attend?
Spring sports are off and running, and there's just the limited capacity seating, which is essentially they limited about 50% of stadium capacity. But I'm not aware of any particular problem with anybody wanting to attend an event that was unable to due to seating capacity. I do know I've attended several track meets, for example, and those are all off and running. No issues with seating capacity at any of those that I attended.
Dr. Rodriguez, thank you so much for joining us this morning and sharing that wealth of information. And we look forward to talking to you again soon.
Thank you. Same here. Appreciate it very much. You all have a great day.
Keep up the good work. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. That was Dr. Frank Rodriguez, Superintendent of Beaufort County Schools. And we always appreciate his joining us for sharing his information with us regarding the school district. You know, as we look to golf, we know that we're only 5 days away from the RBC Heritage presented by Boeing, and the community is extremely excited about that. We're also excited that South Carolina will be hosting 3 PGA events this year in the great state of South Carolina. But the one that we're most excited about is the RBC Heritage. And just a couple of facts on that. I think it's worth noting that last year, over 2 million viewers tuned in on CBS on Sunday. And Hilton Head Island will once again be on the world stage, broadcast in 23 languages in 226 countries. That's 23 languages in 226 countries. Spectators are going to be different. We will have spectators this year, which is exciting. And here to tell us a little bit about the tournament is our very own tournament director and one of the most respected in the business, and that's Steve Wilmot. Steve, good morning.
Good morning, Bill, and thank you so much. Kelly, if you can put my visuals up, I'd appreciate it. But I'm sorry to say we don't have any. We're going to save our visuals for next week. But and I have plenty of time to talk today too. I'll take plenty of questions. It gets me out of unloading some trucks and roping and staking and doing things out of the golf course. So, but no, thank you so much for putting this together, and I appreciate Hunter and John and Dr. Kelly, as well as Dr. Rodriguez and their comments, because what's so special about next week is what I'm so proud of is what was mentioned here before too, is really about community and Southern hospitality. Here, and John mentioned something about Southern hospitality, got me thinking about something that Jim Nance has told me over the years, and we have him on video saying that his favorite 3 hours in Augusta is the drive to Hilton Head. So that truly says something about this community. And then hearing Dr. Kelly, who's been very supportive in us and in setting our protocols and moving forward in a safe manner. But there was two things that was extremely important to the Heritage Classic Foundation and the staff this year was the fact of running and conducting an event in the safest possible manner, and then also to make sure that we were able to open up our charitable programs. And we are moving forward with safety protocols and then some, working extremely close with many different partners. And then we're also, which we're happy to say too, and we had to take a little time out last year with our charitable programs, but that was so important for the foundation to open those back up, so we're able to do that. But the interesting thing about this time of year too is the fact that, and again, I talk about team and I talk about no I in team and I talk about community. We all have, we're blessed to be in this incredible community that here in working so close with Sea Pines, working with the resort, working with the town, working with the hospital, working with Bluffton, working with Beaufort County, working with the state, working with the PGA Tour, working with our great partners in RBC and in Boeing to be able to put this event on for the world to see, but also working as a team too with Palmer Electric and Hargray and our electricians, our landscapers, and then working with trailer companies and working with BMW up at Greer, a South Carolina company is providing 140 vehicles. Club Car out of north of Augusta that we have over 200 golf carts. It's such a team effort that is put forth that is fully happening now, but it doesn't just happen overnight. It's working with each and every one of you in this community. It's not about me or us, it's about we, and to think of all that goes in to be able to conduct this event. It's 13 months out of the year, if not 53 weeks out of the year. But if you think about it, we just conducted an event back in June without spectators, and this year will be a different feel. It will be a limited capacity, but we're hoping that the experience, and we're planning on the experience to be enhanced because of the limited number of spectators, because of safety and protocols that we need to follow, but also being able to get back on track so we can get through this year, which is going to be a tremendous year. So we can be back better than ever in 22. But again, it will be an interesting week. We have some great partners in working with obviously the resort again, the caterers, as well as the surge group that's assisting us as well. And it's an exciting time for this community. And as Bill mentioned too, is the state of South Carolina to have two PGA Tour events, one PGA of America event, but all three of them will be on CBS as well. And CBS is going to showcase this incredible community next week, but certainly the state of South Carolina and moving forward. But we're in go mode. I wish we could stay there. There was such thing as a status quo year, but it's a status go year, and the staff is fully engaged. Mother Nature's been very cooperative, both from the conditions, working with the golf course. Sea Pines has put their best foot forward. John Wright, the superintendent there, has done an incredible job. And and our staff that's putting everything together right now, working with the trailer companies, working with our sign companies, and pulling everything together so that we're going to have an incredible week next week. But again, I thank each and every one of you for all your continuing support. It will be a reimagined year. It's going to be a great week next week, but we look forward to an incredible week.
Steve, thank you for that update. Several questions for you, so I know you will enjoy those as keep you from lifting boxes and other things this morning. The first one is coming from Fred, and Fred is asking, is it still possible to purchase a parking pass?
Yes, you have to go online right now. We still have a few available, and that's something I should, and thank you, Fred, for asking about that. We are very limited in tickets, and we anticipate a sellout altogether all 4 days, all 5 days, I should say. We are not open Monday and Tuesday this year, which is something different, but they are available, and you can certainly go online. And but I would act fast with regards to tickets and parking, because they are moving quickly, and we have to be sensitive too to what we have out there because of the decisions that were made in with regards to social distancing and some things too. The infrastructure of the tournament's a little different than it's been in the past, without bleachers and skyboxes and all too. So it will be a different feel, but it'd be a interesting and a great feel out there.
All right, thank you for that. And Gina is asking, will masks be required outside on the golf course?
Yes, they will be. We are following the guidelines of the PGA Tour, working with CBS and the networks, but they will be required, and it's something that we'll be messaging forward more than you'll ever know once you get down here. But our volunteers, again, I need to thank them. I don't think I touched on, we've recently had our volunteer uniform distribution day, and they understand the importance. The question's been asked, but the importance of the safety and messaging to all about being socially distanced as well as being masked up for the course of the tournament.
Thank you for that, Steve. Next question is coming from Jeff, and Jeff's asking, what is the purse for this year?
It's actually $7.1 million. 1.2 will go to the winner. It is the same purse as it was last year, so the purse was not increased, but it is $7.1 million to the overall purse, 1.286 to the winner.
That sounds like a good payday.
Yeah, I was going to say, you can tell I'm grinning a little bit,
but that's right. Next question is coming from Donna, Steve, and Donna is asking, will there be food options along the course this year with a limited number of attendees?
Yeah, yes, there will be, and we've looked at that. We've created a couple different areas between 1 and 9, 2, 3, 6, and 7, and then added 15, as well as the 17, 18 area. In the 17, 18 area, there is an all-inclusive. That's where the all-inclusive ticket, the Sponsor Village ticket, will be. But there will be offerings throughout the golf course. A little different than in the past because of limited numbers and some things. But Surge Group will be handling concessions out on the golf course. Sea Pines will have Fraser's Tavern there by the halfway house. That will be all spectators will have access to that as well.
All right, thank you for that. We've had several comments asking about the plaid party tonight, and knowing that that's become quite the tradition for the pre-tournament week. We're looking forward to a big night. It's being held outdoors. Steve, we're looking forward to seeing you, but also need to let everyone listening that it is sold out. So obviously fans are ready to get their plaid on, Steve, and celebrate the week ahead. But the next question for you is coming to us from Susan, and Susan is asking, will there be some type of opening ceremony this year?
Actually, no. We are looking to have a photo opportunity with our past champions, and sometime on Tuesday when the course is closed, because unfortunately, following some safety protocols and guidelines and social distancing, we're not able to, and we're actually currently working on the back end too with closing ceremonies, and we possibly will not be able to conduct that again, unfortunately, this year. But we'll get through this. We understand why we're here and where we're here, and so, but for next year, but there will not be any official opening ceremony, unfortunately.
All right, just a couple more questions. Roger is asking about the course conditions. I know you mentioned a little bit about that. Anything else you'd like to comment regarding the course conditions at Harbortown?
No, they're excellent. I mean, we all went through, for those that know about grasses and whether you look at your lawns and things too, but it's a lot different than just throwing grass seed down and watering your lawn. But we had a little rainy, cold spell there, 6-8 weeks ago. But the sunshine, things were popping down here, and we're a little delayed with azaleas and some other things, which isn't a bad thing. And but it's beautiful out there. Have the opportunity to be out there each and every day now, and without golfers this week. The last tee time was this past Sunday, but without golfers, there's a lot of work that's able to be done on the interior of the golf course, but the exterior as well.
All right, Steve, last question is from Frank, and Frank is asking if you could just discuss some of the logistics behind parking and transportation from Honeyhorn this year.
Yeah, well, basically, transportation will be from Honeyhorn and be dropped off in the Liberty Oak, Harbortown area, and it's somewhat the same as past. We unfortunately, I shouldn't say unfortunately, but it will be social distance. We have more buses than we normally have. Really, we have to conduct, whether we have 1,000 people out there or 25,000, we still have to run the operations because of safety protocols, and the transportation from Honeyhorn, all those buses will be sanitized once all the spectators are off on both ends, depending on the coming or going. So some additional operational things that have been conducted, but the passes that we have available that we've sold are within Sea Pines here, and then they'll be shuttled to the same area down to Harbortown.
Steve, thank you for being with us this morning. Thank you for all you do 365 days a year to bring this tournament with us and showcasing South Carolina, Hilton Head Island, and Bluffton next week. So congratulations. We're looking forward to a great tournament week. Well,
thank you. It's an honor to work in this community with so many incredible people, and truly a team effort. But we're going to have a great week. Thanks to you all, and thanks for your support too, Bill, and the chamber. It's we're in it together, and we'll get through next week, and we're going to have an incredible year this year. But then also looking forward to 22.
All right, thank you, Steve Wilmot, with us talking all things RBC Heritage this morning. And I'll remind you of what Steve said, that few tickets left. They're going fast, and it'll be a great opportunity and a unique experience for 5,000 people to be spread out along a golf course watching the best tour players in the world play their game. So we'll encourage you to get online now and get your tickets. And as we conclude today's call, certainly simply want to say be safe, be kind, get your vaccine, and an early happy heritage to everyone. Looking forward to a big week next week. Thanks for joining us. Have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.